A quiet suburban night unfolds as a teenage boy sits alone in his dimly lit bedroom, illuminated only by the glow of his computer screen. His fingers move quickly across the keyboard, curiosity turning into obsession as he explores hidden corners of the internet. The camera slowly zooms into the screen as lines of code begin to appear.
A sense of something bigger than him starts to build in silence.
Topographical map.
Satellite map to 2D transition.
Trajectory analysis line.
Across the ocean, another teenager mirrors the same behavior, sitting in a cluttered room filled with wires and old computer parts. He joins anonymous chat forums, where digital outcasts gather and share knowledge.
Their conversations are cryptic, filled with jargon and hidden intent.
Slowly, two usernames begin to notice each other in the chaos.
A connection forms, one that will soon disrupt systems far beyond their control.
The two teenagers begin collaborating, testing small exploits on minor websites and low-security platforms.
Each success fuels their confidence, pushing them toward more ambitious targets.
They laugh at their victories, unaware of the line they are crossing.
The digital world feels like a game, and they are learning the rules quickly. But every move leaves a trace, even if they believe otherwise.
Nice. Now try the root access. We broke through.
Good. Now let's see what they're hiding.
A name appears on their screen, a high-ranking official tied to global intelligence.
The risk is enormous, but so is the thrill. They hesitate for a moment, then proceed with
The plan begins with a simple phone call.
As their skills grow, They begin studying human vulnerabilities instead of systems. They realize that the weakest link is not technology, but people.
The teenagers practice manipulation, crafting believable stories and identities. Their methods become more refined, more dangerous.
Courtrooms replace chat rooms as the stage of their story.
Legal arguments outline the damage caused and the risks involved.
Their anonymity is gone forever.
Judgment approaches. The internet was built on shadows, but justice demands light. The court is now in session.
The digital trail is often clearer than the physical one. Every keystroke leaves a footprint that justice can follow. Devices are seized, rooms are searched, and questions begin immediately.
The digital traces, once weightless and invisible.
Point R are now physical evidence. What once felt like a game is now a serious crime. One morning, the silence is broken by a sudden knock on the door. The 17-year-old freezes, heart racing.
Outside, officials wait with undeniable authority.
That's an impressive setup you have here, son. But it's time to step away from the keyboard.
Back in their rooms, the teenagers sense something is wrong.
Systems behave differently. Connections feel monitored.
I can't scrub the logs fast enough. They're tracing the IP now.
It's not the IP, Leo. Look at the data packet. They've been watching us for weeks.
There. See it? The memory leak.
It's tagging the packets. They're establishing a trail.
Paranoia sets in as they attempt to cover their tracks.
Leo, I can't stop shaking. Are they watching us right now?
The data stream is locked. I can't break the trace.
But it is already too late.
The trail has been established.
Investigators begin piecing together digital footprints left behind. IP logs, timestamps, and subtle mistakes form a pattern. Each clue narrows the search.
The anonymity they relied on starts to crumble.
We chased the digital footprint across the dark web until the data stream finally yielded a precise coordinate.
The digital footprint narrowed, revealing the precise coordinates within the city block. We are bringing up the schematics now.
Every keystroke leaves a digital footprint. It was only a matter of time before they found the source. Pressure builds quietly but steadily.
As the search narrows, the architecture resolves. The ghost in the machine is taking shape. We're closing in.
The digital footprints led us here, deep into the city's grid. Now we close in.
Every keystroke left a trace. Now, the team had to translate the data stream into a physical location before time ran out. Behind secure walls, alarms begin to trigger within government systems. Teams scramble to trace the origin of the breach.
A digital manhunt begins.
The firewall held for T-00 Warson 12 seconds. We are now in a full spectrum engagement.
This was not just a data breach. It was a coordinated strike against the very infrastructure of the grid. The clock was ticking.
Got it. Almost.
The access logs don't lie. This wasn't a glitch. It was a coordinated strike. They knew exactly what they were after.
At precisely 0300 hour, worm activated. It wasn't merely a data extraction.
The breach began at 0300 hours. This wasn't a typical attack. It was a coordinated strike aimed at the heart of the grid.
At 0400 hours, the breach became a manhunt. Across the sector and
Posing as technicians, they contact a telecommunications provider, carefully guiding the conversation.
Their voices are calm, confident, and convincing.
The success of the infiltration relies entirely on speed. Once the target engages, we have less than 90 seconds before the firewall closes.
Hello, this is Julian from Global Tel, just calling about a routine line check in your area. Now, if you could just confirm the last 4 digits of your account for security purposes, then we can proceed to bypass this temporary network anomaly.
The system does not resist, because it was never designed to question human deception.
excellent. Thank you for your cooperation. That should do the trick. We'll have your service restored momentarily. He calls it the drop. The moment the mask comes off and the infiltration goes live. Within minutes, the first barrier falls.
Topographical map. 2D extruded buildings. Investigative documentary style.
Email accounts begin to open, revealing sensitive communications.
The magnitude of what they have accessed slowly becomes clear.
We're not just looking at data, Elias. This is an entire operational network.
I know. It's bigger than we thought.
They are no longer just experimenting, they are inside something critical. The atmosphere shifts from excitement to disbelief.
This isn't just a data breach, Sarah.
This is
An entire ghost network running parallel to everything we thought we knew.
A ghost network? Elias, that's impossible. Every packet, every connection, it's all logged.
And we just gave them the keys to the kingdom.
They scroll through confidential messages, some mundane, others deeply classified. Each click exposes more of a world hidden from the public. They started with curiosity, but now they held the keys to classified data. The game was becoming dangerously real.
Power begins to distort their judgment.
What started as curiosity is now something far more dangerous.
Once the message was sent, there was no turning back. They were in too deep.
That's what started as curiosity quickly evolved into something far more dangerous. They were wielding the line confirmed the target. What started as curiosity had become a direct threat to the city's infrastructure. In a moment of reckless boldness, one of them decides to make contact. A message is sent, direct and provocative. The intent is unclear, somewhere between defiance and thrill-seeking. The response from the other side is silence, but the impact is immediate.
Lines have been crossed that cannot be undone.
To understand the message's trajectory, we must first analyze the digital topography of the sector. This visualization allows us to analyze the message's trajectory. The extrusion reveals the layers of complexity within the urban infrastructure.
From a single point of origin, the data ripples outwards, mapping the precise trajectory of the message across the entire network. The trajectory analysis confirms the spread is exponential. What began as an isolated incident has now infected. The trajectory analysis confirms the message reached every sector. The impact footprint is unprecedented in its scope. As the analysis concludes, the sheer scale of the message's reach becomes clear, a ripple effect across the void.
A detailed explanation of social engineering unfolds, showing how human psychology becomes the primary target.
The attackers relied on confidence, urgency, and believable identities to deceive support staff.
Okay, I'm trying to pull that up for you now. Just a moment.
No, that won't work. I need the exact file path, not the general directory. This is urgent.
I understand, sir.
I understand it's urgent, sir, but I'm having trouble locating that specific path without the full project ID.
The project ID is
77 Alpha 99. Okay, I'm pulling it up. Please hold. Hold.
Visual diagrams illustrate how information was gradually extracted. Each small piece of data led to a larger breakthrough.
There, I've granted temporary access to the specified directory. You should be able to retrieve it now.
Excellent. That's all for now. Thank you for your urgent assistance.
Of course. Is there anything else I can help you with tonight?
The simplicity of the method makes it even more unsettling.
The video zooms into a simulated phone call, reconstructing the exact tone and structure used by the attackers.
Calm speech, technical language, and authority were carefully combined. The victim, on the other end, unknowingly cooperates, believing they are helping a legitimate request. This moment becomes the true entry point of the breach.
A single conversation changed everything.
A sophisticated threat requires a sophisticated response.
Here is how the breach occurred.
Good morning. This is the IT help desk. I'm calling about the network anomaly report you submitted.
Oh, yes. The system was acting a bit slow earlier.
Indeed. We've detected some unusual activity originating from your workstation. To resolve this, I'll need you to navigate to the secure portal at
secure-fix.com. Got it.
Done.
Excellent. The patch is now deployed. We'll monitor for any further anomalies. Thank you for your cooperation.
A breakdown of account recovery systems reveals another weak link in the chain. Security questions, backup emails, and verification steps are analyzed one by one.
Many of these systems rely on easily obtainable personal information. The attackers exploited this predictable structure.
What was designed for convenience became a vulnerability. Sentences are delivered, marking the end of their digital rebellion. The consequences serve as a warning to others.
They called it the storm. We knew it as the precise moment our digital lives became state property.
What began as curiosity has reshaped their lives permanently.
The cost of their actions becomes undeniable.
Silence follows the storm.
Zoom in on this trajectory, right here above the financial district.
Running the packet next.
The investigation shifts focus from what happened to how it happened, breaking down each step of the intrusion with clarity.
Analysts reconstruct the attack timeline, revealing that no advanced malware was used.
Instead, simple manipulation and trust exploitation opened every door. The story begins to transform into a lesson about vulnerability.
The entry point is masked, but the trajectory confirms lateral movement.
Wait, Chen, I think I have something on the user profile. Right here.
This cluster right here, the data funneling through the secondary proxy.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't use malware, they walked right in.
The story closes with a reflection on vulnerability in the modern world. Technology continues to evolve, but human error remains constant. Systems may be secure, but people are not. The line between curiosity and crime is thinner than it seems.
And somewhere, another screen glows in the dark, waiting. In the digital realm, curiosity quickly crosses the line into crime. True anonymity is just a myth they tell the others.
What began as curiosity has n'être qu'un.
Back in the investigation room, analysts overlay logs and timelines, searching for anomalies.
Patterns begin to align, revealing the attacker's path. The smallest irregularity becomes critical evidence. The hunt is methodical, precise, and relentless.
Every second brings them closer to identification. The story reopens with a dramatic rewind, retracing the exact moment the first mistake was made. A single piece of information, casually given, becomes the starting point of the entire breach. The screen splits into multiple timelines, showing how one action triggered a chain reaction.
The simplicity of the error contrasts with the scale of its impact.
The audience begins to realize how fragile digital security truly is.
The breach wasn't localized. As the cascade spread, the fail-safes initiated a sector-wide quarantine.
What began as a silent infiltration is now a full-scale network compromise. The visualization shows the trajectory of the breach spreading across the city grid.
The initial point of entry was a single, overlooked vulnerability.
This is the initial trajectory. The breach snakes through the municipal grid, establishing a foothold at the water treatment facility.
From there, the breach moved with chilling precision, mapping the network's internal architecture.
As you can see, the cyber blue lines represent the silent spread. The warning amber nodes indicate critical infection levels across the city grid.
What began as a whisper in the system quickly grew into an undeniable, interconnected web of control.
The trajectory was clear. A silent, methodical takeover, spreading across every layer of the digital infrastructure.
The story intensifies as investigators begin correlating digital evidence with real-world locations. Maps animate across continents, connecting activity to physical spaces. What was once anonymous now begins to take shape geographically. The distance between the attacker and the target becomes irrelevant.
The digital world collapses physical boundaries.
The narrative zooms into the attacker's perspective, showing the interface as doors unlocking one by one.
Each successful step reinforces their confidence.
There is no resistance, no alarms, only access.
The illusion of invisibility becomes stronger.
But unseen, a trace is forming behind them.
A breakdown of timing analysis shows how activity patterns reveal behavior.
Login times, durations, and sequences create a digital fingerprint.
Even without names, habits can identify a person.
The attackers unknowingly left behind a behavioral signature.
The trajectory confirms the pattern. We cross-reference the behavioral metadata, and the identity becomes clear.
Data becomes identity.
The narrative zooms into the attacker's perspective, showing the interface as doors unlocking one by one.
Each successful step reinforces their confidence. There is no resistance, no alarms, only access.
The illusion of invisibility becomes stronger.
But unseen, a trace is forming behind them.
Visual reconstruction shows how one compromised account led to a cascade of access. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. This vulnerability provided the foothold necessary to compromise the entire structure.
Emails unlock resets. Reset, unlock systems. Systems unlock data. The chain reaction unfolds step by step.
Each link depends on the previous one.
Breaking any link could have stopped everything.
The concept of trust is examined as the central vulnerability.
Systems rely on trusted interactions to function efficiently.
Attackers exploit this assumption without breaking technical barriers.
Firewalls are designed to stop brute force. But when the system is built on ubiquitous trust, the path of trust becomes the weakest link in the chain. The lesson shifts from technology to human behavior.
We built these systems on logic, on code. But the greatest vulnerability was never the technology itself.
A simulation demonstrates how quickly access can escalate once initial entry is gained.
Permissions expand, controls weaken, and visibility increases.
As the breach spreads, controls weaken, and visibility increases for the intruder.
The system was never designed to handle this type of intrusion.
Each layer falls faster than the last.
Momentum becomes unstoppable.
The encryption key has been fully compromised. The final firewall has been breached, resulting in a total systems failure across the network. A breakdown of timing analysis shows how activity patterns reveal behavior.
Login times, durations, and sequences create a digital fingerprint.
Even without names, habits can identify a person.
The attackers unknowingly left behind a behavioral signature. Data becomes identity.
The narrative contrasts the attackers' confidence with the growing certainty of investigators.
On one side, casual conversations and laughter.
On the other, structured analysis and evidence building.
Two worlds move toward inevitable collision.
The gap between them is closing rapidly.
Tension builds without direct confrontation.
The story intensifies as investigators begin correlating digital evidence with real-world locations.
Maps animate across continents, connecting activity to physical spaces. What was once anonymous now begins to take shape geographically.
The distance between the attacker and the target becomes irrelevant.
The digital world collapses physical boundaries.
We've monitored the data flow across 6 continents, and now the trajectory confirms the target is secure. Every digital footprint leaves a trace. In a network this complex, the smallest error can unravel everything.
A key turning point is revealed when a minor operational mistake exposes part of the attacker's identity.
It is subtle, almost invisible, but enough to narrow the search. The screen highlights this moment repeatedly, emphasizing its importance.
In slow motion, the system revealed the attacker's critical mistake. This corrupted packet. Perfection was never achieved.
This single error compromised their anonymity. The trace, once obscured, now led us directly to the source.
And in cybersecurity, one mistake is enough.
Back in the investigation room, analysts overlay logs and timelines, searching for anomalies.
Patterns begin to align, revealing the attacker's path.
The smallest irregularity becomes critical evidence.
The hunt is methodical, precise, and relentless.
Every second brings them closer to identification.
In our hyper-connected world, the digital and physical have merged into a single, seamless reality.
We live our lives online, unaware of how seamlessly our data is being collected with every scroll.
In an increasingly connected world, the line between our private lives and potential digital threats becomes increasingly blurred.
Every tap, swipe, and click weaves an invisible network that binds our lives together with effortless convenience.
Look how big you've gotten.
We miss you, Grandma.
Oh, I miss you too, sweetie.
But beneath this surface of simplicity lies a hidden architecture of risk. Beneath the surface of the city lies a vast digital architecture, constantly tracking the flow of information. This is no longer a story about a single incident. It's a reflection of a new, universal truth.
A heartwarming moment, yet beneath the surface, this innocent connection represents a new frontier for sophisticated cyber threats.
Because in this world, every one of us is on the map.
In cybersecurity, control is everything. We operate under the principle of least privilege. Grant only the access required to prevent risk.
A segment focuses on the principle of least privilege, showing how limiting access reduces risk.
Users should only have access to what they need.
Excess permissions create unnecessary exposure.
As we see in the red zones, overprivileged accounts create systemic risk. The core principle here is limiting that access to the
Visual examples demonstrate how restrictions contain breaches. Prevention starts with control.
The principle of least privilege dictates that access must be strictly limited. As you can see, this is the global digital terrain. Every point a potential vulnerability.
The importance of anomaly detection is explored, highlighting behavior that deviates from normal patterns.
The system operates within defined parameters until a deviation occurs, a break in the pattern that signals an intrusion.
Unusual login locations, times, and actions become critical signals. Systems that learn behavior can identify threats faster. The system must first learn the environment, understanding normal behavior. When in an anomaly, however, they are not perfect. Balance between sensitivity and accuracy is required. Attention turns to detection systems and why they sometimes fail. Alerts depend on predefined rules and thresholds.
But within this digital twin, there are gaps. Blind spots the attacker can exploit to move unseen.
When activity appears normal, it may go unnoticed.
Attackers exploit this limitation.
Visibility gaps become entry points.
The breach utilized a critical visibility gap, allowing the payload to bypass conventional defenses undetected until now.
Data exfiltration is visualized as information leaving the system in small, controlled flows. Instead of large transfers, subtle extraction avoids detection. What looks like ambient network traffic on a two-dimensional plane.
The method is quiet and efficient.
Sensitive data moves without immediate alarms.
The breach extends beyond access into impact.
The exfiltration is subtle, designed to avoid detection. Yet, the trajectory analysis reveals the true scale of the data loss.
The narrative shifts into a structured breakdown of attack phases.
Clearly labeling reconnaissance, entry, escalation, and exposure.
Each stage is visualized step by step.
Simplifying complex concepts into understandable sequences.
The audience begins to see the attack not as chaos, but as a methodical process.
In the escalation phase, the threat expands systemically across the network. This leads directly to exposure.
Understanding replaces fear. Knowledge becomes the first defense. A secure network is a fortress of data, protected by layers of sophisticated defense.
The concept of lateral movement is introduced, showing how attackers move across connected systems. Once inside the perimeter, the attacker can move laterally across the network, exploiting the very connections that make the system efficient. Visual paths highlight how one compromised account leads to others.
The network is no longer segmented.
Everything becomes reachable. Containment becomes difficult.
This is lateral movement. Once inside, the attacker spreads aggressively, turning secure systems into compromised footholds until the entire network fails.
Privilege escalation is explained through layered access systems.
Once inside, attackers gradually increase their level of control. Each permission unlocks new possibilities.
The process is slow, but deliberate.
Control expands silently.
This is the core concept of privilege escalation. The attacker moves laterally, expanding their footprint silently across the network. The flickering stops, confirming the breach. Now, with elevated privileges, they own the map. The escalation is complete.
Reconnaissance is explored in depth.
Showing how attackers gather information before acting.
Public profiles, small details, and patterns are collected silently.
Nothing is hacked at this stage, only observed.
Yet this phase determines everything that follows.
Information becomes preparation.
The entry phase is revisited, focusing on how trust is manipulated to gain initial access.
We must deconstruct how trust is manipulated to breach the system. The failure is rooted in human response, not technical flaws.
Visual cues highlight tone, language, and timing used in deception. The audience is shown exactly where the failure occurs. It is not technical weakness, but human response. The lesson becomes clear and direct.
It represents the breach, a manipulation of trust.
A final educational summary ties together all key lessons from the case. Each concept is revisited briefly, reinforcing understanding. As the trajectory analysis completes, we see the clear correlation between the seismic events and the network's vulnerabilities. The story transforms fully into a guide. Knowledge replaces uncertainty. Awareness becomes action. This final data point completes the picture, transforming uncertainty into precise, actionable knowledge.
The importance of communication during a breach is highlighted.
Internal coordination and external transparency must be balanced carefully. Information must flow without causing panic. Trust must be maintained.
The breach has moved past the initial firewall. It's now propagating through the residential grid.
Leadership becomes critical. Incident response planning is explained as a necessary strategy before any attack occurs. Teams must know how to react quickly and effectively. By visualizing our response teams and their precise areas of responsibility, we ensure a coordinated and effective outcome. Clear roles and procedures reduce confusion. Preparation improves outcomes. Readiness saves time.
Without a rapid response plan, a localized breach can quickly escalate. Backup systems are introduced as a safety net in case of compromise.
Every packet secured, every grid synchronized. This is how we ensure resilience against even the most sophisticated threats.
Data can be restored even after an attack.
Regular backups reduce long-term damage.
Preparedness minimizes impact. Recovery becomes possible. This topographical map represents a complex system, one where stability is entirely dependent on constant maintenance. The narrative explores the importance of regular system updates and patching.
We visualize the system as a metropolis, an intricate web of interconnected data, and
vulnerabilities are constantly discovered and fixed.
Outdated systems remain exposed.
Scanning metropolitan area now. We have previous confirmation on the primary target building. System vulnerability is active.
Maintenance becomes a critical responsibility. Neglect leads to risk.
Multi-factor authentication is revisited as one of the strongest defenses.
As we navigate this digital landscape, the need for advanced defense becomes critical. This is where multi-factor authentication comes in.
Even if credentials are compromised.
Point additional verification blocks access. The trajectory analysis shows the attack vector, but the MFA shield provides an impenetrable defense, neutralizing the threat immediately.
Visual examples show different methods in action. Layers create resilience. Security becomes harder to bypass. A deep dive into password management tools highlights their importance in modern security. Complex, unique passwords are generated and stored safely. We create a unique, complex password for every site, then secure them in an impenetrable digital vault, simplifying your security. This reduces reliance on memory and repetition. Weak habits are replaced with secure systems. Weak habits are replaced with secure systems. Simplicity supports security. We live in a world defined by data. But in this interconnected landscape, verification protocols are our...
When a request originates, the system instantly logs its trajectory. Our protocols demand immediate verification. The role of verification protocols is emphasized, showing how double-checking requests can prevent breaches.
Independent confirmation becomes essential. Trust is no longer assumed, but validated. Small steps create strong barriers. Consistency is key. User awareness training is presented as a critical layer of defense. Employees learn to recognize manipulation and suspicious behavior. A threat neutralized. This is the power of human awareness, transforming a... Simulated scenarios reinforce decision-making under pressure. Awareness reduces risk significantly.
Education becomes protection.
In a world of increasing complexity, awareness is your strongest defense. The concept of zero-trust architecture is introduced as a modern defense strategy. No user or system is automatically trusted. Every request must be verified continuously.
This approach challenges traditional assumptions.
Security becomes dynamic and adaptive.
This is the core of Zero Trust. The system continuously verifies every access attempt, regardless of its... In the realm of Zero Trust, we assume nothing. We continuously verify every data trajectory. In the early days of the internet, phishing attacks were primitive, almost laughably obvious.
But like any predator, they evolved.
Today, these attacks are sophisticated, personalized, and virtually indistinguishable from legitimate communications.
This is the digital world map. A seamless web of data connecting billions. From a single point of origin, A campaign can now propagate across the globe in seconds, targeting millions.
The battle for awareness is constant, as the lines between deception and reality grow ever finer. In our digital world, information is constantly in motion.
But not all data is created equal. The most valuable information requires a shield.
Encryption is that shield, a process that transforms sensitive data into an indecipherable code.
Even if this data is intercepted, it remains a locked box, useless without the proper keys. True security isn't just about controlling access.
It's about making the information itself fundamentally safe.
Once the data reaches its destination, the authorized key decrypts the information, ensuring its integrity and confidentiality across the network.
The importance of network segmentation is explained through clear visual partitions. Systems are divided into controlled zones to limit movement. The network is fully segmented, creating secure zones. Even if one area is compromised, others remain protected. Barriers slow down attackers significantly. Containment becomes achievable. The threat neutralized, the system pulses with a secure, stable glow.
A scenario illustrates how a single weak device can compromise an entire network. One unsecured endpoint becomes the entry point.
From there, movement spreads across connected systems. Isolation fails when connections are unchecked. The weakest link defines the strength of the system.
A single weak device becomes a conduit, allowing the threat to cascade through the connected systems, as visualized by the spreading trajectory.
The analysis confirms a total breach. The trajectory line indicates complete network compromise. We are now operating in the dark.
The weakest link defines the strength of the system. We begin with the digital landscape, a vast, interconnected system where complexity inherently breeds risk. The concept of attack surface is introduced, showing all possible entry points into a system. This digital sprawl represents the attack surface. Every connection, every device is a potential entry point. Each device, account, and connection expands exposure. Visual layers demonstrate how complexity increases risk. Reducing the attack surface becomes a strategic priority. Less access means less vulnerability.
By simplifying the infrastructure, the attack surface is minimized. The probe finds no entry, and the threat is effectively neutralized.
We remove the unnecessary complexity, restoring balance to the network. The system is now resilient and secure. A focused breakdown explains how attackers think before they act. The attacker's mindset dictates choosing the easy path and the weakest target to maximize impact. They look for the easiest path,
not the most complex one. Weak targets are prioritized. Fight over strong systems. Effort is minimized, while impact is maximized.
Understanding the attacker mindset becomes a key defense.
The narrative begins by reframing cybersecurity as a daily habit rather than a technical skill.
Simple actions taken consistently can prevent complex attacks.
The screen shows ordinary users interacting with devices in everyday situations.
Multitasking comes at a cost. Every click, every distracted scroll opens a potential door for those looking to exploit our data.
Area represents a growing demographic, cautious users navigating a complex digital world.
Small decisions create large consequences over time.
Security starts with awareness.
In our digital world, cybersecurity is not a distant concept. It is a shared and immediate responsibility. As the digital layer fades, the reality of our interconnected world emerges. A vulnerability here could have consequences everywhere. Every individual, every organization, every system. We are all nodes in a vast, interconnected network.
This trajectory analysis reveals the intricate web connecting our digital infrastructure.
A vulnerability, and in this network, a single weak link, one vulnerability, can have cascading consequences for the many.
We are all connected in this digital ecosystem.
This is a lesson that extends far beyond this story, weaving itself into the fabric of our everyday lives.
The screen may fade, but our awareness must remain.